Greetings and salutations, fine people. I'm Patti Alvarez. Welcome to The Good Soul, a show where we'll have supercharged chats with everyday humans from all walks of life and unpack what in their story will inspire us all. We'll extract the untapped wisdom, distill it, and serve it up to you in all the right ways that will engage, enlighten, and most of all, inspire growth within your soul. I think people are awesome. So join me on this journey through the hearts and minds of ordinary people to uncover the good soul within you. This is The Good Soul. Welcome to The Good Soul. I'm Patti Alvarez, and this is episode 75, Rebuilding After a Natural Disaster. Today, I'm joined by Ben Van Hook, founder of the Mountain Alliance, a coalition dedicated to helping Western North Carolina rebuild after the devastating floods of 2024. Together, we'll explore what happened during that storm, how the communities endured, and the inspiring story of turning tragedy into a movement of resilience and renewal. Welcome to The Good Soul again, episode 75. Welcome, Ben.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Yep. Before the show, we're constantly talking and I'm asking questions. I kept saying, wait. I want it to be fresh in my mind. So quickly, you were on the show. I can't remember. I think it was like episode maybe 50 something.
Right.
But give us a little bit of history on you and kind of segue that into what got you passionate about this.
So I'm actually from the mountains of North Carolina and grew up. I was taught school for 3 years of my life and then went into real estate and land development. And from there became kind of a serial entrepreneur into different businesses that we still run. The land development funds us doing other businesses like the one we talked about, Live Well Now, Another Life. Mm-hmm. And of course, the storm happened last year. I was in Florida whenever it happened. I was on a soul searching trip there. At the time, storm happens, and it spoke to me, to my heart, to come and help because that's where I'm from.
Okay.
The mountains are the reason I am the person I am.
Right.
I grew up in the mountains.
He seems like a mountain man.
I'm a mountain person. So whenever it happened, it was, I didn't want to look back and say I had the ability to help, and I didn't go help.
Right.
And that's the reason why we formed the Mountain Alliance and WNC Strong.
Okay. Let's rewind a little bit. Just help me picture what Western North Carolina was like before the floods.
So
what was life like there?
Life's slower in the mountains. It's but Western North Carolina has become a tourist destination location. That's what drives the economy there. Mm-hmm. And it was what everybody does. If you talk about Western North Carolina, Charlotte, goes to Boone. Atlanta goes to where I'm from, Franklin, North Carolina, Asheville. People from up north come there to retire. That's why they come, or they come to visit. Steve Harvey, if you watched his show, I see clips of it. It said, somebody asked him, if you had to go anywhere on vacation, where would you go in the world? And in his episode, he put a star over Asheville, North Carolina. He said, You got to go to the Blue Ridge Parkway. It was pretty
cool. How about that?
It was, that's really cool. That's one that you see. So before the storm, that's why everyone came there. That was driving the economy. And of course, October was the biggest month that paid everyone's bills. So everyone's waiting for October. The leaf's changing. Most businesses, most people make their livelihood in October. Mm-hmm. And of course, the storm comes, it hits right before the biggest month of our economy.
Yeah.
And then the storm hits and everything changes.
Yeah. Growing up in a shore town, I am very familiar. I mean, any weekend that it would rain would cost, hundreds of thousands of dollars to any individual vendor. So the region saw up to 18 inches of rainfall. That was like a record rainfall. But what made this storm so different?
And actually that's places that were recorded, but we know of individual rain gauges that saw over 30 inches.
Wow.
Some up to 40. So
wow.
It was the amount of rain and the way the rain came down with the wind, but there was over 100 landslides. So whenever I grew up, whenever I was in college, we had a event happen. I think it was Hurricane Ivan, but we had Peaks Creek, which was one landslide, and it was in Franklin, North Carolina, and 2 people died. And that was just the biggest event ever, this landslide. It changed the way people saw things. And now you're talking about over 100 landslides that were just like that one or worse. Yeah. And it was the way the water poured out. So basically, it was like you took a bucket and poured out on top of the mountains because the clouds came in so low, and then they got hung up in these valleys, got hung up with the mountains. And it was literally like pouring a 5-gallon bucket of water straight out.
Unbelievable.
And so not only did you have the rain, you had all the mud come down, debris, trees, rocks, and then all that got washed into the creeks. And you can go places like B-Log. That's an area of Western North Carolina that you were looking at bridges that are concrete state bridges that you're like, no way would that ever move, and they're completely gone.
Displacement.
Just all of them, just all the rocks, the mud, the trees. It was these big state-built, federally built concrete bridges are just gone.
Yeah.
And there's no sign of them. They're all the way gone. We looked at one rock, and the guy's like, that rock used to be, and he pointed way up the creek, and we would all fish on it. And then it got washed down probably 300-400 yards, and they figured up, and it weighed something like 2.4 million pounds.
Unbelievable.
Is what they calculated
Power of the
weigh.
water.
And it was moved.
I saw one of my most powerful clips that I've ever seen in my life was of George Carlin. And he was speaking of the environment. It had to be 30 years ago. And he said, you think Mother Nature is worried about the plastic bag you're using? Talk to a survivor of a hurricane. Talk to that 2.4 million pound rock that just bink like it's a pebble. Okay, so we had talked about this pre-show, and you said my numbers were way off, but 1,200 homes lost. You said it's way more than that.
Yeah, so the estimates that I've seen is for structures damaged, so that's homes and commercial, that were either flooded, knocked off their foundations, some kind of repair had to be done, is over 120,000.
Okay.
So that's the numbers 126,000 is the number that they officially gave all the nonprofits. That's what we were looking at. So you can say over 100,000 with a degree of certainty that it was at least 100,000.
And they were spread out. So that's
and these are spread out. Yeah.
It was
spread so big.
So we're talking in the billions in terms of relief.
So it was at the time before this Texas flood or before the California wildfires, and I've not seen the numbers on that. It was the most expensive natural disaster that's ever hit.
Unbelievable. Do we have a number? Did you have a number that you've kind of like learned in your mind?
It's 60 billion.
60 billion.
Somewhere in there.
Oh
that's what they gave us. But of course, if they're giving you that number, it could be 100 billion.
Well, Chat GPT is really lying. That's for sure. And lives lost, I have 20, you're saying well over 100.
Yeah, and there's no way to get a definite answer because they want confirmed bodies that they find. And you're not going to find the bodies that were washed down the river. And there were so many that were washed away. So that's been a point of contention between all the nonprofits, the government, the FEMA, is how many actual lives were lost. And you can throw a number out and everybody's going to call you a liar on it. But they'll never know what the actual number is. Okay. It's impossible.
Yeah. All right, we're going to wrap up the first segment on that note, and coming up, we'll talking about how the devastation and how I should say Ben got involved in the devastation and the part he's playing. So guys, don't go away. We'll be back in a few. This segment of The Good Soul is brought to you by Aaron Fisnick, certified luxury home specialist with Ivester Jackson Christie's International Real Estate. Aaron serves all levels of the greater Lake Norman region real estate market, and whether buying or selling, she is very much the lady who will deliver like no other. Many of us at Good Soul are also really happy clients. Aaron can be reached at 704-728-5657 or reach out to me and I'll get you guys connected. Thank you, Aaron Fisnick, and thank you guys for tuning in and supporting The Good Soul. Welcome back, everybody, to The Good Soul. I am Patti, and I'm here with Benjamin Van Hook. That's such a great name. It's like Benjamin, I don't know, actor, author. I don't know. It's a great name. Renaissance man. We're talking Western North Carolina. So tell me, do you remember where you were and when you had that initial, like, I got to do something reaction, like this is big?
So I was in Florida, and like I said, I was on a soul searching trip there. It happens, and then my phone's blowing up.
Okay.
We had just people out that were already doing things. We were trying to find people. So basically I told all my guys that work in land development, just go help. So we ended up paying them to go, and instead of going to Texas to work, we stayed home, and then we started sending equipment back.
Okay.
And whenever I got back on Monday, I went straight to the airport. We were basically doing air traffic control. I was looking at numbers that we flew in the first 3 days. We flew something like 222,000 pounds of food in.
Oh, wow.
And supplies, because you couldn't get to these people.
So how did you orchestrate all of this?
With Hope Mills was a nonprofit, and they were a nonprofit before this happened.
Okay.
So they had done things like this before. And then it just ended up being all the pilots, all the ones that were local, because we were told to stand down. Everybody was told you can't take up airspace. And they were telling us not to fly, telling the pilots that they could lose their license, and they were all like, I don't care.
Yeah.
So through Facebook and social media was the way we orchestrated it all. Okay. And so at any one time, I had my phone, a computer, and an iPad. And we were, medication was a big one. Of course, donations of food, donation of supplies. We were running it all through social media.
So I'm just imagining this being like kind of anywhere. So something happens. I want to make a difference. I say, okay, medication, food, water, hygiene products. Right. Bring them all to X location.
We were going to Lincoln Airport. Where we were flying out of. So we had a hangar there that somebody let us use, and it started at Statesville, and then the it started in Hickory, and then the Army came and took over the Hickory Airport.
Okay.
So then it split between Statesville and Lincoln for the private. And literally through social media, and we got on the Reagan rolling, got on the news, and that helped bring in more supplies. It helped bring in funding on GoFundMe. I think we Hope Mills raised something north of $1 million in less than a day.
Wow.
And they're actually still taking that money. Their whole mission was to make sure all that money gets spent on the victim. So they're still using that money today.
That's great.
To go out. But they were, Hope Mills was ran by a military family. Okay. So it was really great on how they had it all set up, and then we
real
were there.
Organized.
Oh yeah, so they had the line set up. You would weigh it because you had to know what the weight is going into these helicopters, going into a plane. They'd have it perfectly weighed out. They would have their mission. We would get it on, and then get it sent out. And it was just a rotation. And then of course we got Black Hawks. There were some private Black Hawks that were military contractors, so all the big stuff would go out on that. It was
man.
Oh, it was wild.
No games, man.
So,
it was wild.
Let's talk pivot a little bit and talk about people who were displaced. Did you have a hand in shelter and getting people places to stay?
That was the hardest part of all this.
Wow. Okay.
Setting up camps for people to come and stay in. And getting people out. There was Elk River, you couldn't get to the people at all. It was all via helicopter. It was the only way you could get them any supplies.
Jeez. Wow. Did you go there?
Yes, in a helicopter we ended up going.
Oh my God. And what was it like for the people there?
It was awful. They, no power, no food, no communication. The big thing that we were flying in was Starlinks, and get Starlink set up. But of course you had to have a generator to set up the Starlink. So we were getting generators, and those were those are the heaviest thing to try to fly in. That and water. Water was always, people wanted so much water, but you can only put so much water on an airplane.
Now, and then there's people who who say, I'm not leaving.
That was the majority of of everyone.
Really?
I'm not leaving because you hear the stories of the government coming in and taking over property rights.
Of course.
And that was, getting people in tents, and then winter was coming. So really trying to find a way to get them in shelter. And a lot of people just stayed in tents. A lot of people. They refused.
I mean, we worked really hard to build. We worked really hard to build our home. If I can completely see why people would do that. Would you want to leave our house? Like
they were not leaving.
I'm staying here. That's it.
The majority of the people would not leave. I mean, period. There was no talking. You shouldn't even talk to them because if you argued with them, it was just taking up time.
Yeah. So that's a really great. I mean, the only time I think the aftermath. I understand. The only time I really don't condone that is like before, like in New Orleans, when people, lives could be lost because they want to stay in their home. What about the orchestration of volunteers and I really want to get more into the Mountain Alliance and obviously WNC Strong, but that's a challenge too, is organizing the people.
It was very challenging, and between the Mountain Alliance and then Hope Mills and other nonprofits that came along, the problem was everybody wanted to volunteer, but you couldn't get everybody out at once. Mm-hmm. And then people would get mad that you didn't have anything for them to volunteer at, but you were so busy in trying to get the supplies out and get those organized and do that, you didn't have time to you needed people that had volunteered before.
Yes.
And they knew you could send them and they could do what they needed to do, and they knew what to do.
Yeah. It's kind of like my Italian mother who didn't want anybody to help her clean the kitchen. Go. Yeah. I'll do it myself.
That's
it's easier to do it without having to train people on site.
We had people coming from Texas, Alabama, Louisiana, Ohio. There's a big group from Ohio that came in, West Virginia. They would all show up, and then you had to find places for them to go. So finding volunteer jobs, which there were plenty of them, it's just getting them orchestrated and getting them in was the hardest part. Yeah.
Okay, so really on this note, without getting at all like controversial or political, like I understand there was some conflict with FEMA. Is that
there was so the problem with FEMA was they did not show up at first.
Okay.
So then we were it was all volunteers doing the work. It was all local people or people that came in. And we already had systems set up in place, just like the helicopters and the flights. Mm-hmm. We had convoys of people driving in with trailers to drop stuff. And then all of a sudden FEMA showed up and said, stop. And if you're not, so we ended up coming up with a pass that our volunteers had that we had typed out that basically said that they were allowed to be there.
Okay.
And I get to the point of, whenever bad things happen, bad people show up too. Mm-hmm. So you couldn't just be all willy-nilly and let everybody go in. That some of them did have bad things on their mind that they were going to do, but we were already set up and running in a very efficient manner. Mm-hmm. And then they come in, they basically tried to ground the airplanes, they tried to ground the helicopters, they tried to keep our supplies from getting in.
And you guys were like, no way.
It was intense there for a little while.
It was intense. It's like a movie. Yeah. Now, did you end up collaborating with them at some level? No. Did they just go away, or did you did everybody work in?
We don't really
go away. They would lose face.
Here's the thing. They had all these FEMA camps set up, but nobody ever stayed in them. So we know of a place that had 80 single wides set up, and mm-hmm. nobody ever went there.
Why?
We don't know. Me and Ann, who is basically she runs the Mountain Alliance. She's the day-to-day operations. Mm-hmm. And we were trying to go and make peace with FEMA in one of the camps, which was in Spruce Pine. And we were driving up and we're like, they're gone. And mm-hmm. we went over to the fire department and the church that was across the road. And we're like, what happened to the FEMA camp? Mm-hmm. Like, we don't know. They left overnight. Whenever Trump got elected, they literally packed up and left that night.
Wow.
And they were completely gone.
Okay. And I had asked you this pre-show, but I was under the impression that when Trump came into office, things changed a lot.
He got us a lot more recognition because literally if you weren't within a 2-hour drive time of Western North Carolina, you really didn't know it happened.
Yeah.
And the California fires actually brought a lot of attention to Western North Carolina because of the discrepancy and how unfair it was, how
They were being
we were
treated.
treated versus California, which California fires were awful.
Of course.
Oh yeah.
But we got more attention because of that. Whenever Trump got there, we were on the news more,
Yeah.
got more attention.
Yeah.
And then, as I told you, Josh Stein getting elected as a new governor, he brought a lot more attention and a lot more supplies in.
That's great. I've heard of music and arts springing up amid all of this. Do you know anything in forms of entertainment and ways of people making light? Yeah.
There was a lot of, like, Marshall, North Carolina is very artsy.
Mm-hmm.
It brought a lot of those people together as far as the arts go, and now they're going to a lot of concerts that are now popping up in hopes of raising money. But there was one group specifically in Swannanoa that a lot of music came out of, and a lot of people would go there to get a distraction from what's happening.
That's great. Okay, we're going to wrap this up, and in our third segment, we're going to talk about the formation of the Mountain Alliance and WNC. I'm excited NC Strong, I should say. So, guys, don't go away. We'll see you in a few here on The Good Soul. Want a little bit more rainbows and unicorns in your life? Start your day with Good Soul Daily. Every morning, you'll find me in your inbox where I share a quick story, lesson, or quote to spark joy and inspiration. Come join our hundreds of daily readers and let's step into our new day together with my lighthearted, Pollyannic approach. I would be honored if you'd allow me into your heart and head where you are sure to be delighted and inspired. Text me over your email address to 704-618-7993 for your daily dose of happiness and reassurance that life is pretty darn awesome. Welcome back to The Good Soul, everybody. We're here with Ben Van Hook on episode 75, and this response to the Western North Carolina devastation is nothing short of remarkable. And there needs to be more people in the world like you, that's for sure. Yeah. And I still want to do another episode with you on your soul-searching trip to Florida. I'm sure we could do a whole thing on that.
That's a whole process. There's a couple years in that one.
You're quite the Renaissance man. I mean, like, one day I'm talking to your wife and she's like, oh yeah, you have a restaurant. Yeah. Like every time I turn around, I learn something new about you people.
There's a lot of stuff.
Quite impressive. Yeah. So probably the most remarkable of all would be probably the Mountain Alliance. Tell me how that came to fruition.
So I was helping Hope Mills do their relief in. And I'm talking to everyone in my hometown, especially my sister and Paige and my father. And I'm like, what are we doing in Franklin, North Carolina to help with this? And they're like, nobody, we're actually doing nothing. Like, it hadn't started yet. So we decided overnight to open up a relief center there. We got a building that was an old Kmart, and the whole town came together immediately. So before you knew it, we had nothing to several hundred people working, and we filled up a
100,000 square foot.
Yeah, and overnight just filled up. So
how long is this after the actual hurricane?
3 days. So it would be the Tuesday after. But then via social media, we hooked up with a group out of Alabama that was bringing stuff in. They actually had stayed in one of our hotels, and the lady that was running the desk knew that we were helping, and they were looking for where to help. That was a lot of things. People coming in, they didn't know where to go. Ended up hooking up with them, and they had tractor trailer loads of stuff to come in, and they also had a helicopter and a plane.
Okay. And they're from where? I'm sorry.
They were from Alabama. But we had a lot of stuff from Texas came in, a lot of stuff from Ohio. But Franklin did not get hit by the storm. My hometown did not get hit by the storm like everyone else did. We had the eye of the hurricane go over us. So it was a very good place to run relief out of. And with I-40 being shut down through the gorge, that was the only way into Western North Carolina.
That helped you because you're familiar with it.
Yeah, and we were the first basically spot you came to in North Carolina whenever you were coming in. So we ended up going from not doing anything on Tuesday to Wednesday. We got a full-blown operation.
Wow.
Going, and the people of Franklin and all the volunteers from everywhere would come in, and it was just a great location for us to be able to process all the donations coming in and get all the donations going back out.
Okay, so right there you decide with the Hope, what was it called again?
Hope Mills.
Hope Mills.
Yep.
So do you immediately register 501c3 and like become a nonprofit?
So,
like how does all that work?
So that took some time.
Yeah.
There was one way to do where you could get a 501c3 in 2 weeks. But if you do that, you couldn't take over $50,000 in donations for a year. So we went the long route. We actually didn't get our 501c3 till about 3 months ago. We were using other 501c3s to run, to basically act in our place. We have a 501c3 already set up. So we were able to use that 501c3 to stand in place of hours until we got it set up.
What is the logic behind, not that you're a lawmaker, but what's the logic behind a $50,000 limit?
I have no idea.
That is so crazy.
I found out so much about 501c3s. Like we were doing a raffle for a car to raise money. Then we find out you're not allowed to do that for 3 years.
Oh.
So we had to stop that and send everything back. There's so many rules and regulations to 501c3s that do not make sense because they really handcuff you from being able to raise money.
Do you have any paid employees, the Mountain Alliance?
We have one.
One paid employee. There's
one right now, and then and she's actually not getting paid through the Mountain Alliance Mission. She gets paid through. We set up a nonprofit and then a for-profit, and the for-profit funds the nonprofit, helps fund it. So we're running everything. Her salary comes from the for-profit.
Okay. So the main function on the Mountain Alliance at the onset was to distribute food, medical supplies,
and fuel for heat. That was the biggest obstacle we had. There was so much food coming in and so much water and supplies rolling in from outside that was easy to take care of. But the fuel, we had to buy that. So raising the funds for fuel and getting that out was really the hardest thing that we had.
Yeah.
We have several.
Okay.
There's a lot.
And this is like a little bit like a sidebar, but like, is there any organization that helps to organize all of the organizations? Because it seems like a lot of people came in. So
that was that's why we called it the Mountain Alliance, was we wanted to help organize where everybody was working on the same team.
Okay.
But it's still, people hold everything so close to their chest, and they don't want help, and they don't want to be part of, like, they want to do what they're doing, and they don't want you to interfere with it.
Okay.
And that's been, and the church didn't show up as much as I thought the church should show up either. So getting people to work together has been very difficult. I was sort of let down by that.
Yeah. I just know from being like on the PTA or anything where you volunteer, I felt that wholeheartedly. And this is so not totally related, but like you said, everybody wants to hold things close to their chest. And they're on their own mission, but it's a shame because what happens is it becomes counterproductive.
It does. We could have gotten a lot more accomplished and raised a lot more funds if we could have got. Now, there was Western North Carolina group that it was a group of people from different counties that came together, and they're the ones that really organized the fuel setup. So they had 2 different distributors, and we would all donate. A lot of the different groups would raise the funds and then give them to that group to be able to distribute the fuel.
Okay. So how is that done? Through trucks? Is it literally like
it was trucks,
gasoline?
Diesel and gasoline. So you're basically looking at our kerosene. You were looking at kerosene heaters, gas for generators, and then diesel for different
generators.
Yeah, and different fuel heaters that would burn that as well.
Okay.
So they set up different drop locations that people could come and get fuel from. And then their trucks would go fill those locations up.
God. And you're covering, okay, so let's put this into perspective. The mile span for...
So Avery County got hit really, really hard. That's where Elk River. And that was the number one focus of where we were trying to get fuel to.
Okay.
And then the rest we would set up. It wasn't near as bad as that. And plus Avery County's really the coldest county. That was the biggest. It was $4 million is what the estimated total was to get Avery County through the winter.
Wow. Just to keep it warm.
Yeah.
Just to keep it warm.
Just to keep people warm.
Wow.
There.
And so Elk River is one town, but there's probably hundreds
Yeah, you got Linville. Boone got hit. Some of them don't exist anymore.
That's so sad.
Like the town is gone. It was completely wiped off the face of the earth.
What about first responders, police officers, first aid, fire? Did you have to, or did you collaborate at all with any of them?
The fire departments really became the hub of where everything got set up.
Okay.
So all the fire departments and the fire chiefs were great. Because the fire departments know where everything is at in the county. So it was kind of the intel that everybody would work out of. So all the fire stations basically became the hub of where we would send stuff and where we would ask for information where to send stuff. It became the central hub. All but there was probably 2 incidents with fire departments where they weren't very helpful or actually counterintuitive. Okay. But all the rest of them were great. Everything ran smoothly.
What about crime or anything like that? Did you face any?
There was some, but
people taking advantage of the
people as I said before, whenever bad things happen, bad people tend to show up. Yeah. So,
all right, I don't want to wrap up on that note, but we are going to wrap up segment 3, guys. We'll be back for the 4th segment, and don't go away. Thanks for being here. Who isn't looking to get happy and healthy and empower themselves in an extraordinary fitness community? At Good Soul Hot Yoga, we offer life-changing yoga, strength training, cycling, and relaxing therapeutic classes that will make everything in your life feel better. For some power, balance, and peace of mind, we will deliver. Come experience our spa-like wonderland in the center of Mooresville. We will become your happy place. Welcome back to The Good Soul. Here we are with Ben Van Hook, and we are talking Western North Carolina and the relief efforts there. I still have so many questions. Let's get back to the Mountain Lions really quick. So what came in as like probably a general, like what can we do? Collect supplies turned into more fuel distribution. You have a background in construction, so I'm assuming that your talents sort of gravitated in that direction.
So first we were search and rescue. So we went in with our guys actually were the ones that dug out Chimney Rock and got the first there's a mail house there that we got to that actually ended up being the distribution point. So that was our equipment that dug it out.
Awesome. Did you find people? Did you
they did.
Oh,
and
wow.
That stuff that was the hard part. Because you've got volunteers that came up and were volunteering, and then they were finding bodies, and it's something that they can't get. You can't get it out, and it's not people that were trained to do that sort of thing.
Yeah, of course.
And then it came.
When I meant people, I didn't mean to be negative and mean.
Right.
Did they find bodies? I was like, did they rescue people? But
they did rescue too. We found a couple developments that hadn't been anybody to them yet. There were some places that it was 2 weeks before they saw the first person to come in because they didn't even know it. And the mountains are so big, you think that you've covered it all and you haven't. It's impossible.
Yeah.
I'm saying so much damage over that span.
The majority of those communities, are they I'm sure they're neighborhoods within the mountain regions, but also a lot of people live on 5 acres, 10 acres.
Way back in the mountains that nobody knows that they're there.
Yeah.
Even flying over with helicopters, you can't see them.
You're like, oh, yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
God, that's crazy.
There was a lot of helicopters, and they found a lot of houses where people, they would use mirrors to signal them. And anyway, we went from that to supplies. I was telling you, we had bathhouses and bathrooms that
for
we would take in.
volunteers.
Yes,
not just for people.
Yep, it was for everyone to come in. And then it was to get heat and fuel for the winter. That is basically transitioned to that to try to keep everyone to where they weren't freezing to death for the winter. Then it was general cleanup. You're going in and just trying to get the roads put back together where people can get to their homes or get to their communities.
Yeah.
And now it's transitioned more into housing. How do we get housing to the people in the mountains and make it to where they have a place that isn't covered in mold, isn't about to fall down, is actually safe for them to live in. Because a lot of people, like I said, they're not going to leave. And they're staying in houses that you wouldn't stay in.
Are there ways that people can come to you? I guess on your website, is there a place where they can say,
So we have a volunteer sign up form, and then we also have where you can donate.
Okay.
So right now we have 6 houses that are going out. 2 of them have been put up. 4 of them these are manufactured homes. So basically if your home was damaged during the storm and you own the property, then we can help you.
Okay.
The problem becomes there were so many people that were renting, and then the landlord doesn't have a way to redo the house. Okay. But that was one of the things that we set out at the beginning. We weren't going to rebuild a house for a landlord to charge the rent back.
Of course. Is there a way you can structure it so that the tenant rents the land?
We haven't figured that part out yet.
Yeah. Wow.
That's a tough one.
Okay. So this is where you're at right now. Right now you're really focusing on getting these manufactured homes is that your primary?
It is, but it will again switch to heat during the next month or 2.
Okay. Oh, of course.
Yeah. Going back into the winter, we'll be back to how do we keep everybody warm for the winter? And that's where we really need the people to start donating again so we can buy the fuel to hand out to the.
Okay. Well, I would love. I definitely would like to contribute. Like, definitely do something again through this podcast, and of course through all our students at the studio too. So where it stands now, we're working on that, and definitely, guys, keep this in mind. We'll have a link to donate in the description for the show on all the platforms. Tell me, do you have any most memorable moments, most hopeful moments, or heartwarming story that you can share?
We had several stories where we would be the first people in and be able to take the people the supplies that they haven't seen forever.
Yeah.
Or it seemed like forever. 4 days without food or 5 days without food, without water. But for me, I was so engulfed in getting supplies out, running that part. I wasn't in the field as much as everyone else was. I stayed on a desk, behind a desk, or at the airport in my truck with a phone and an iPad, just trying to get supplies in and out, or trying to get different methods of getting supplies in and out.
Getting everything organized.
So as far I've been asked that question a ton of times. What was the most heartwarming thing? And I'll be honest, I didn't have one.
Yeah. No, I get it.
It was
tragic.
Everything that I had was really the most heartwarming. And I told you this earlier, would be the response that we got from social media in helping everybody out. So I told you I had the situations where I would get a text or a Facebook message or a call and be like, we need this medicine or this guy's going to die.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, we're going to go out and find it.
Yeah.
And before I could hang up the phone with that person that needed the medicine, I would get a message on Facebook Messenger that said, hey, if you need this medicine, we have it here. And that was like a win.
Well, I said to you on the break, and that's the hand of God, I think,
definitely.
too. Like where you're like,
and that happened numerous amounts of times. It wasn't just one time that would happen. It happened a bunch. So another win would be how many organizations and how many people came together that I didn't know or I hadn't talked to in 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And, there was so many doing exactly what I was doing, and we were all working together. So the collaboration was amazing that we worked on.
We have places, I mean, I'm from the Northeast. We have places where people maybe live like other people. Now, so in the mountains, there are people who are not really in touch with civilization and who, like, it's so interesting to me, the culture.
Appalachia, it's totally different than anywhere else you can find.
Yeah, but I'm assuming you had obviously pretty traditional upbringing in terms of, relatively speaking, to growing up in the mountains. Take me through Asheville. So I get off, I drive down that one road, and I'm driving to the Omni Grove Park where Starbucks was on my left. And, I understand everything is pretty much gone.
So anything that was close to the river. So what happened was in Swannanoa, they have a reservoir that is basically the water supply for that region. Mm-hmm. And that reservoir was set up. It had 3 plugs. And if the water ever breached the top of the dam, those 3 plugs pop out. That was designed in early 1900s before everybody had houses down below the dam.
Okay.
So it was a design then that would work, but now it was kind of obsolete. They didn't lower the water before the storm happened, which they probably should have. Okay. And those basically 3 plugs pop out, 26 feet of water rises in under a minute. And that starts in Swannanoa and basically wipes all of Swannanoa out, down through Asheville, down through Marshall, and then that dumped out into Tennessee. And what was crazy, because there was so much stuff that got into the water. You can think about all the toxic material that's in all these commercial places and industrial places going down through Asheville. So everyone's having to wear hazmat suits. And even 3 weeks after we're in Marshall, and me and Austin Marvel, we get out, we're helping people, we're talking to people, we're trying to come up with ways. And actually that's where we really got into the Arts District. But 2 hours later, we're pulling over on the side of the road throwing up.
Oh my God.
And that's what those people were living with daily.
Wow. So Ben, tell me, like, is there anything people interacting with all the people you did who've suffered through this catastrophe, leave? Like, if in the future, like leave your house, get in the car and drive?
People aren't leaving.
Aren't leaving.
That's Appalachia. And we go to these FEMA meetings and they're like, yeah, these people are going to, we're in Avery County, and FEMA's response was, these people have to move to South Carolina. Like, good luck. Yeah. They're not leaving.
They're not leaving.
You got to figure out how to help them here, because they're not leaving to go get help.
Yeah. And I respect that. I'm sure you feel the same.
100%.
Yeah. Anything else you want to share? Anything we missed?
Food,
I think we pretty much supplies, gas. Then that was going to be my last
that's
question.
The biggest thing is you can give on themountainalliance.com. We have where you can donate for houses, so we call it Homes for Hope. You can donate for the fuel, which is going to be the biggest need that we have for the next 6 months, is fuel for heating. It's not as big in the fact we're not running as many generators as we did last year. I would like to know the number of generators that actually got donated and got taken out. Because there was, I know that we orchestrated hundreds, and there was a lot of groups out there. So we're not having to fuel the generators, but we still have to fuel heaters, which is kerosene, oil, and diesel. But we take care of all that. We just need the donations to help pay for it.
Okay, so themountainalliance.org or .com?
.com.
The mountainalliance.com. And I guess going to the Mountain Alliance now, WNC Strong, which we didn't really cover that much, but I'm assuming they're kind of tied together.
They're tied together. So we have a for-profit, which is WNC Strong. You can go on there and pick up
T-shirts,
shirts,
merch.
hoodies, anything like that. And all that money gets put into the Mountain Alliance, or it gets donated to other nonprofits. So we've actually donated quite a bit to the WNC group, to Appalachian Relief.
Okay.
Allison, I would be doing an injustice if I didn't mention Allison Hargis, who basically put Black Mountain on her back. She'd never done anything like this before.
Okay.
And she set up the best ran relief center in the outdoor section of Ingalls there.
Okay.
And
great.
FEMA came and tried to shut her down, and she's this little unassuming girl.
Little powerhouse.
You'd be like, she's not doing anything. And then whenever you talk to her, she was running the Army. She was running.
God.
FEMA's telling her she has to shut down. She's telling them to leave.
Oh, God.
The commissioners come and try to shut her down. She tells them to leave. And then the Army's taking orders. You go there and you're like, is Allison here? They're like, we'll see if she can see you.
Oh, God. All right, well, speaking of shut down, sadly, we have to shut down episode 75.
Yep.
So, guys, check the description. We'll get you all of the links that you need, and just keep coming back. And again, on behalf of all of us, Ben, thank you so much for all you do for humanity. So, guys, thanks for being here. See you next time on The Good Soul.